What's up YouTube, it's right here and I'm going to deck profile Luard. So here's my starter. We run David. He's my preferred starter because my first dread is typically Orgeyser Doomed, and it's recyclable thanks to Luard's Ritual, and you can reuse it for like Spectral Blasters for the 1-card sack on the second skill. So that's why I like David. We're playing 4 dogs as our heals. They're foil. They seem to come to hand a lot, probably because they're foil. 4 Bellio Owls. Pretty self-explanatory. There's a reason why it's like a $20 crit trigger. Getting plus to your hand and being able to go back to the deck is ridiculous. And 3 more crits to round off 7 crit lineup. 4 Howl Owls. We're not playing Diablo, so we want more ways to manage our soul. And we're running Run Raven, good on matchups where you don't have a full board, since this can get you 2 units to sack 4 different skills. Like you can sack 1 for your Spectral, or both. I don't know, there's just lots of things you can do with this, with the 2 units you get called out, since you can also retire stuff with your Perfect Guard. Speaking of the Perfect Guard, we have SRAS. Really good Perfect Guard that can keep recycling itself and prevent you from decking out. So yeah, pretty self-explanatory in that one for ritual decks. Playing 4 Abyssal Owls, also self-explanatory, searches you Luards and acts as a countercharger for the deck. Since we're not playing the Diablo engine, we don't have access to the Hoel and Kaiden stuff. And we don't play Karma Collector. 2 brown ones. The Stride Fodder helps when you're not at Ritual. If not, it's just a 7k that can be used as a booster or something. Helps in that sense. 2 Swordbreakers. I like 2 because if I damage 1 or ride 1, I used to have 1 more, since I can't actually recycle them. And it is really good in my opinion on the... I use it a lot on the first Stride because I can call this in any other 1 or 0 and then Soul Blast the grade 1 that I rode, so I can have 2 or 1 extra card toward Ritual, depending on what I sacked. 1 Decipher of the Prohibited Books. She is a card that allows you to counterblast 1, call a grade 0 at GB1. Doesn't have to be called from deck, so that's really nice. You can tutor out your crit triggers or your starter or even the stand trigger, or maybe even a Howl Owl if you really need soul. So she's got a lot of utility there. We're running 2 Knees. I'm not sure how to pronounce her name. If it is a her, I'm pretty sure it's a her. I forgot to look. This is not so much used as a 9k booster, though that is actually really nice. There's some times where I want to be able to like sack a Swordbreaker or a dead grade 3 or something on my field that can't intercept, so I can get an extra card in my hand to try to dig for guard or something, or just set up Ritual. So that's why I like it there. Moving on to grade 2s, we're playing 7 10k vanillas. Tried to do every single different art, but there's only 6 arts, so for now we're running with this. The 10k vanillas are good for early game if you go first, or even if you go second against someone who also plays 10k vanillas. But outside of that, it is also really nice because it combos with Carnivore with a 7k booster. You can hit 21s if they don't have the requirement for not giving you the +4. And with your 6ks, it also hits 16 columns, so that's always nice. Running 3 more Fessa, was running 2, decided to pump it to 3 because of me not liking the last slot right now as much, so I figured Morfessa has more utility because it helps get you Ritual in your drop zone at GB1, and 14k attacker with a non-hit is actually really good too. And we're running 1 Leofall. So I like this card sometimes, which is why it's only at 1. It was at 2 originally, because you can Soul Blast 1, kill another card in this column, and draw a card. So that can either help you succeed with Ritual, or kill maybe dead grade 3s or something, just to try to dig for something else in your deck. Although you do have to manage Soul because your starter's not going to Soul. and you're probably losing 1 soul for Soul Breaker and or Sword Breaker, and Spectral Blaster also takes a soul. So yeah, you just gotta be mindful of your soul, and it's an 11k attack rate ritual. So ritual 3, and then that's our grade 2. So grade 4, or sorry, grade 3 is 4 Luards, self-explanatory. Really amazing card. 2 Foldlas. She's there to tutor out zeros. Any zeros, David included, if it's back in your deck. Really hard to get utility out of this card unless you just play passively early game, because you're gonna tend to have a full board, especially if you use if not a full board, a board of your booster, or well, 2 boosters most likely, because you call like an extra grade 1 to try to sack for your Luard skill most likely. So then you'd have like just 2 open rearguard slots, and this costs 2 units, so you'd need 3 open rearguard slots to get the most utility out of this card. So yeah, really dependent on your situation, since you generally don't want to stack your David just for your on-stride. But yeah, against control matchups, this is a lot better, or just matchups that can actually hit your rearguards. So you can get maximum utility and value out of this card calling your owls, so you can draw more cards and send them back. And lastly, 1 Diarmud. This card I'm not actually that big a fan of right now, because I'd actually kind of rather run Death Spray for the same general effect. My issues with this card is it's a Ritual 3, GB1, and it has to sack the unit before, or well, on declaration of attack, so you can't like use a booster or whatever if you're going to sack the booster, whatever's behind it, or you'd have to just sack a booster for something else, so you don't get maximum value out of it if you're not playing a lot of stands to, restand your rearguards. So it's kind of dead in that sense, and you do have to sack the unit to get +3, so you can't just swing 13 or something, you actually have to retire something to go for 13, which is why I like Death Spray better. Just almost the same thing. It's an 11k though, doesn't require a ritual, and also GB unit, so yeah, I think I'd swap it. But I gave away my Death Sprays to people, so I have to get one from Fallen Winter. And G-Zone. Sabriz, very self-explanatory, we don't want people abusing not riding. 2 Carnivores, as mentioned with the 10k vanillas, you can get nice 21k columns, and you can retire your plus units or dead units to use it, so it's very free. Can also get you the countercharge with the Abyssal Owl if it's sacked and you're at ritual, so it can set you up for next turn. Running 2 Dooms with the 2 Aura Geysers to pair with them. Doomed is almost always my go-to first stride. You get to hit their board potentially, and you get to add 2 cards to your hands with filters. With David, you're only sacking 1 extra card, and if you sack an owl, then you get an extra card back to your hand on top of that, so it's actually really good, and it's not a neutral in that sense. And you send your owl back at the end phase, so yeah. Personally, I'd actually consider cutting it down, because I feel like I almost never want to go into the second Doomed, but we'll see what happens. It can change in the future. Running 2 Spectral Blaster Diablos, probably my favorite second stride, since I almost always go into this after I go into the first Doomed to try to seal games depending on the situation, since restanding Vanguards are really good and you can do some fun stuff with it. Being able to countercharge by sacking an owl in your main phase to get the 2 counterblasts you need is always cool, because sometimes they'll forget about it and not realize that you can actually use its skill. And we're playing 2 Phantom Blaster Diablos. This probably could be at 4 if I just drop 1 Aura Geyser and 1 Doomed, but with the growing power of G-Guards, this is a lot harder to pull off as a cheesy win, so you just don't rely on it as much anymore, and you still get value out of like Carnivore for no field, or even Ogma for no field, so those are other cards you can go in its place. And as mentioned, we're playing 1 Ogma, it's there for cheeky wins, or if you really want to hit cards out of their hand or something. Like if you were to Diablo them, you know, if you know they have like multiple heals in hand, and they don't have the field requirement, like since Diablo you'd usually go into that if you can clear their board. So yeah, Ogma, you're just hitting cards out of their hand, which could be their G guards, depending on, you know, their cards in hand and whatnot, or just slows down their plays for next turn. Like if you hit against really rear guard reliant decks, and their field's looking a little lower, something like Tachikaze, since they retire their own stuff as well. You can prevent them from maybe even dogmaing you, because that happened to me a couple times actually already, where I prevented them from being able to dogma me because they're like 1 or 2 cards short. So yeah, that's the entirety of the deck outside of G Guardians here. So 3 plot makers, 1 Dismal. Dismal could be very well be in a Gleam. A Gleam is probably the more preferred card, but I actually don't own a Gleam. I'll wait for Fighters Collection to get the reprint-ish card. But also, Dismal can protect you from D-Robo specifically, because Laurel is a thing, and D-Robo is very popular apparently. There's like 3 to 4 of them at our tournament this past Saturday, and we don't like Laurel going off. So that's the thing, and a Gleam is mandatory, so sometimes you might not want to discard a card, but of course a Gleam can set you up for Ritual just as well. If not, you know, this 15k shield is also a nice throwaway 15k if you just need a G-Guard and don't want to waste a plot maker, because that extra shield you can get from plot maker is pretty important sometimes. Now that's the entire deck. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, let me know, and I'll see you guys later.